Good evening, everybody. It's your girl Stephanie Robles here, and with me I have Rex, I have Dan the Man, I've got Steph, and I've got Sarah.
Hi.
Hey.
And today, I almost said today, tonight we'll be talking about newcomers in recovery.
I lost her.
Pros. Yep.
Having a hobby to keep busy is a balancing act. Some people say with a hobby, it can often feel like trading one addiction for another. So you have to kind of tread carefully. So how do you make sure that that hobby doesn't uh, kind of cross that line? You want to start off, Rex?
Um, what, like a hobby becoming an obsession?
Um, Bordering into that, yes.
Like anything. I mean, if when we come into recovery, we're giving up something that we've had a lifelong relationship with. Not a lifelong relationship, but an extended relationship with. And I have a family member who has been in recovery for quite a number of years, and he put it to me in the way that his drug of choice was alcohol. And he told me one day after I had found recovery and started taking recovery seriously, he said I had a relationship with alcohol. I used to like a relationship. He said I used to miss it when it wasn't there. I used to look forward to it when I could be with it. I used to save money to spend on it. I used to enjoy my time with it. But it was very much an abusive relationship. But he was in this relationship for so long that when he found recovery when he started on his path of recovery, he had to fill that with something. He had to fill that void.
Mm-hmm.
And for him, it was discovering a higher power of his understanding. He's dyed-in-the-wool atheist, but he found himself a higher power, and it worked for him. He found the rooms of recovery, and that worked for him. He found hobbies, and it worked for him. So the way I kind of look at it is kind of crude, but if you have a balloon and it's filled with fart, and we let it out, but we got to fill it full of something fresh, or else we will go back to what we know will fill that void.
And yes, obviously it's better than putting a needle in my arm or picking up a drink. But of course I can get obsessed with stuff. I guess we got to replace a bad habit with a good habit. So like I said, for me early on, and for a while, it was meeting, and I was too scared to do a lot of hobbies, because everything I did in my life I drank and used with, so it took some time. But for me, meetings were the way out, and it got me into other things.
Okay, Steph, how do you feel about it?
Well, I feel when it comes to like addiction replacement, we really need to be careful because it's not always, bad things. So like when we replace, like it could be exercise, it could be meetings, it could be eating healthy, it could be, anything that you get to where like you're constantly thinking about that activity, or, you're losing sleep to participate in that activity. You're not doing self-care, relationship issues with it. We really need to be careful with that because they're not always bad, and so we don't recognize it as starting to be a replacement or a transfer. What was I going to say? I think that education is really the key for being able to acknowledge them signs and recognize those signs, and also addressing unconscious emotions and stuff, and actually working through them is a big factor in that. So yeah, kind of scary. I know that I've traded for Facebook. I'm addicted to social media and Facebook, and I recognize it, but I just can't seem to get a handle on it. I mean, and it does start arguments with me and my fiance, and it does interfere in things. And when I can't get on Wi-Fi or I can't get on, I do get upset and I do get aggravated. And as soon as I can, I'm jumping on it. So I mean, I think that we really need to be careful with that because it can transfer into a relapse. Really, I mean, It's all about addictive behaviors, and it's not the substance that we're craving; it's the emotional need. Really, that's pretty much.
No.
Yes. Okay. So I totally agree with what everybody said, especially with Dan. You know, I got 7 months coming up on the 8th. You know, so I'm still new. And I just did this in my first step. So kind of ironic. But I threw myself into drug court, you know, and I became addicted to recovery, not just meetings. You know, I was going to drug court 4 days a week. Because of it, I graduated a week early from the First Steps program, and I graduated to phase 2 exactly on time. You know, trying to help people, just trying to get out there. And now I've kind of started pulling back a little bit on that and realizing self-care is very important. You know, just being aware that I'm okay mentally and physically and emotionally, because if I'm not okay, everything else around me is not going to be okay. You know, exactly. I just got the job, and I'm trying to do things that aren't completely recovery based. Like, I still go to meetings, but there's finding that balance. You know, I have to find things to do outside of recovery, because I'm starting to talk about nothing but recovery, and it's driving other people that are not in recovery crazy. And I mean, it is part of my life, but at the same point in time, you know, I need that balance. Everybody needs that balance. Everybody needs that self-care. You're going to drive yourself nuts.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Can I just jump in there real quick? Yeah, and Dan brought and Dan and Sarah just brought up being addicted. I've seen a lot on my journey of recovery, and I've seen a lot of people come into recovery and, like you said, become addicted to meetings in the rooms and stuff. And that's like a transference of addiction. Mm-hmm. But another analogy, I'm just chock full of analogies.
The guru.
He's far from it, but we learn so much in recovery, and people say 90 minutes in 90 days, and it's all of a sudden it's like, if I don't continue this, something is not good is going to happen. And we get in the mindset, we can sometimes get in the mindset, and I did, that if I don't go to meetings, I'm going to end up doing things I don't want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's that like security blanket.
Yeah, it was a security blanket, but we learn all this stuff in the rooms and how to live a new way of life, but then we don't leave the baby pool.
We don't apply it.
We don't apply it a lot of times, and you know, I know people, and if it works for them, it works for them. But we learn how to live life and enjoy life, but we don't actually experience the life in order to try to live it and enjoy it, because we're so close to home base. We stay so close to that. And
that's awesome that you said that, because Stephanie's next question actually is on that topic. So that's amazing that you just said that, Rex.
Dan's got his hand up. Like,
you see that? My hand's up. See that? No, like it's. And here's the thing, like, it does teach us a way of life, right? And, you know, in the fellowship I'm in, you know, the one saying is meeting makers make it. And on the other flip side is people say, you know, meeting makers make meetings. That's it. So, like, for me, I'm an all or nothing guy. I either go to them or I don't. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, like, I'm afraid to stop going because I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, for a lot of people that I know that stop going to meetings, majority of them, they end up drinking and using again. Not all of them, but majority. So I don't want to, you know, I don't want to test those waters, but, you know, and Stephanie was talking about, you know, social media. You know, obviously I got hooked on social media. I think a lot of people do. Now, people have to an extent, you know. I try and help people, but then there's times where I'm just on there. You know, and that can cause problems. But I don't know. You know, at the end of the day, it's the good behaviors. You know, like my behaviors are always. If I would ever pick up a drink or a drug again, it's not because of meetings. It's not because of steps. It's not because of any of that. It's because of my behaviors. Period. Yeah. Like, that's bottom line. That's what will be the death of me. You know, and I believe that. So to keep them in check, you know, I think we got to find good things to do, and you know, just help somebody. You know, that's pretty much it.
Can I add one more thing real quick? I'm sorry. I think that's what I like about drug court is because it's broke up into 4 phases. You know, it goes 1 month, 4 months, 6 months, 4 months. But they teach you. It builds. Like you're supposed to go to X amount of meetings once you get into phase 2, X amount of meetings when you get into phase 3. This is when you get a sponsor. This is when you get a job. Like right now is when technically I was supposed to get a job so that you get adjusted to recovery. Also, they have you do structured recovery events. That way, once you get out of drug court in the 15 months or however long you end up doing, I'm doing it in 15 months. I don't care what anybody says. But you have that support system and you have that ability to venture out on your own and you learn to speak up for yourself and you've learned to do things the way that you should do them so that you can live a normal life.
I can say that I've been to Rex's After Dark and I've even seen parties support. The amount of support that you guys give each other is the most amazing, refreshing thing I've ever seen in my life. Like I've told Dan about it, like somebody's in a really bad way where they're just new and they're coming into it and it's just kind of like a crazy ride, and if you're not used to that, somebody will just type on, so like I need help, and you guys are like the first, like honestly, to see that much love and support and no judgment that I have ever seen. Like that's really refreshing, and society, because human beings, you would think that we're kind of antisocial.
We're losing
you're
you.
Outside in the world, and you ask somebody, "Can I help you with something?" Can you hear me?
We're losing you, babe.
Every other word.
It's your turn this week.
Right? It's my turn this week.
I'll jump in there and just say this. There's part of what I do with After Dark is I do it because I wish After Dark was around when I was first coming around. Late at night. And like I say, when the sun goes down, the mind keeps going.
Yeah.
When it gets quiet, that's when you really start to hear the whispers in your own head.
Yeah,
and there's that many people around to call. And what I like about Carby, don't worry, we're not going to play ping pong with the compliments, Carby. But what I like about Carby stuff is that that's like the same thing during like more human hours.
More human.
And, I'm just saying, but there is that support, and he is there, and he talks from such, he comes from such a real place. It's not just sayings. It's like, this is how it is. And one of the things it was actually Carby that kind of inspired me to. There are recovery advocates. Okay, but what I see with a lot of people who I've now started working with through FHF and through Operation Clean Recovery is that it's almost like a new classification that I like to call recovery community activists, because it's the activists that take action, or the action should be taken, and it's to the addicts. It's getting into the streets. It's letting people know that there is hope, so that they can hold their hand up, to know that somebody's actually there.
There's a safe spot.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome, Rex.
So some say that getting sober and living sober are two different things.
That's such a
there is a difference.
She's cutting out. You're cutting out again, babe.
What's the difference in living sober and being sober?
Yeah.
Like being clean and living dirty. Right.
Who wants to start on that?
Getting rid of toxic people. You can get clean all day long. But if you don't take yourself out of the environment and away from the people and the mindset, like, you're going to still be dirty. Living clean is completely changing your whole mentality, your whole lifestyle, everything. You can't give money to your brother to get high knowing that he's getting high and call it living clean, because you're not. You're endorsing something that you're against. You have to, some people can't get out of their neighborhood, but you don't have to associate with those people. You can go to meetings, you can find new people to associate with, and so you can get out of the neighborhood. It's completely changing your life. You can't but I almost cussed again. You've got to completely 100% do it, or it's just going to end up in a relapse. You can't be around that. You might be able to do it for a while, but it's like they say, go to the barbershop. Eventually, you're going to get a haircut.
Yeah, definitely. I think that getting sober and living sober are two very different things. And both is hard work. When you first get sober, it's more like a moment to moment. Let's see, you're cutting things out of your life.
Familiar things.
Yeah, and emotions. When you're living sober, it's more like you find how to be calm with your emotions and actually live with them. You find new healthy outlets. What else? You can actually think about your future. You can plan things and actually have goals that you focus on. Whereas when you're first getting sober, you can't. Like I said, it's moment to moment. And also your gratitude. When you're, and that's serious for me because like today I'm grateful for the good and the bad. When something bad happens to me, I've learned how to flip the script. And it's all about our mindset. It really is. Our thinking can make or break us. I am whatever I say I am. I really am. If I say that I can make it, then I can make it. If I say I can't, then I can't. And that's really key to all of it. Is what's up here. Because really I can do whatever I set my mind to. And when you're living sober, the sky is the limit. There is nothing I can't accomplish. It's two very different things.
First of all, for the new person, it took me a long time, to realize, getting clean and living clean. I don't know too many people that until they get that transformation that they can do that, because I was going to meetings for a long time and I was new. So I'm not going to be practicing these principles in all of our affairs because I don't know what all these affairs are. I don't know how to act. I don't know what to do. And even to be honest, times now where if I don't take care of what I need to take care of, am I living clean? We're all going to have our days. And that's why I think whatever people practice, whatever fellowship they're in, or whatever the recovery is about, stay close to it. When we peel away from our support group or our meetings or our steps or whatever the case may be, I believe we're closer to that next drink. We're closer to that relapse, which we all know starts way before we ever pick it up.
Exactly.
I've went places where I didn't belong, because I thought I was spiritually fit. I thought this is, I'm learning a new way to live. I don't want to drink. I don't want to use. I can go here. My program teaches me I have a daily reprieve. That's a daily reprieve, and that's how to act and how to live. There's days I do it great, and there's days I do it piss poor. I'm not one of these guys that think I know all the answers. I'm not one of these guys that, I'm just a normal guy in recovery. You know what I mean? But I try and keep my side of the street clean. I do. And it's hard.
That's all you can do, though.
There's a lot of times I want to act out. I remember this one guy told me, he said, hey, man, because we're always about the newcomer, and that's what I always was, and that's what I always will be, because I believe they are important. You know what I mean? I remember what it's like to be just sick. Like, in recovery, being sick. I remember what it's like, and that's why I feel for him. But he was like, listen, man, you can't have 1 foot in the rooms and 1 foot on the street. He said, the stuff doesn't work like that. You're going to get yourself caught up. And he also said, pretend the new guy is following you around all day long. And you don't know he's following you. Just pretend that. Because if he sees you acting out, he's going to think it's okay to act out.
Yep.
We might be the only big book or whatever that ever see in their life. You know what I'm saying? So, and again, that's a lot of pressure, man, especially, speaking and, social media and carrying the message and in and out of prisons and, going to police stations and all that stuff, I'm human too, and a lot of times I forget that, you know what I mean? I'm never going to be perfect. I'm going to struggle, but just try and do your best, and if you're not, at the end of the day, man, listen, if I don't drink and I don't use whatever I screwed up in today, I have a chance on correcting. But if I
Yep.
pick up a drink or pick up a bag, I don't get to correct that, man. So it's hard, and if you're out there struggling with this, go back to the basics. Because when I get off kilter, it's my basics, the basic fundamentals of recovery, and that's when I'm off, and I know I'm off. But just it is different, and if you stay sober long enough, you're gonna get this thing they call the conscience back. And when you get your conscience back and you do slimy stuff, you're gonna feel some kind of way. And in the book, I don't know what page it is because I'm not that smart, but it talks about the emotional hangover. And when you live an emotional hangover, it's really hard to get over. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to stop feeling like dirt, stop doing dirt.
So, like Rex was talking about how the hardest times is usually when everyone's asleep and you're alone with your thoughts. And I've even heard at some meetings, like, the irritation that they would get is when they're alone. It's like nails grinding on a chalkboard, when even hearing the water dripping in a sink is like driving you crazy. How do you deal with those times when it is rather difficult to reach out for help or find some way to help yourself in that time?
You kind of have to have like a plan in motion, like beforehand, like, because those times are going to come. It's a given. Your own mind. You've heard about it in the rooms. You experienced it. Journaling for me, that helps a lot. Facebook, it's so bad to say it, but like if I need to alter my train of thought right then and there, I will pick it up or I'll go on YouTube and look at videos or something, just anything that's going to flip that train of thought to get you out of that thought process. Whatever it may be, read a book. If you feel safe in your neighborhood, go for a walk. Going outside helps a lot. It just, even if it's just sitting on your porch, just anything to jar your train of thought to get you out of that. But you have to be prepared for it too. Because if you're not, then you're frantic and you're manic, and then that's more likely for a relapse,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like Sarah said, I usually walk.
Steph.
But what was I going to say? I'm to a point in my recovery where it's good for me to sit with my thoughts sometimes, because I need to work through them. Now, I wouldn't suggest that for everybody. It depends on where you're at, in your recovery, like I said. But
the thought.
Yeah. And see, I'm comfortable with sitting with my thoughts is a good thing for me right now. I have a lot of regrets that I'm still working on that keep me up at night. But I'm okay with them regrets today. Harvey, stop. I usually take a walk or I'll meditate. Or I've even trained I've trained myself to flip my thinking, if that makes sense. Like when I start feeling something coming on, I'll think of 3 positive or negative that I'm thinking, or you know what I'm saying? There's always a positive in every negative if we look hard enough. Regardless of if we can find it or not. Shit. Where do you guys go? Are you still there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't see you guys.
We can't see you either.
Shoot.
There you are.
Okay. Regardless, if we can even find the positive, it's always there. So I've learned how to do that. And writing is a big. I haven't really shared any of it yet, but I have started.
You'll get there.
It helps me a lot, and it also when I write, sometimes I remember things that were forgotten, if that makes sense. My mind has blocked out so much stuff that I guess I just couldn't remember, or at the time I couldn't grasp, I couldn't hold on to it. It was just too much. And now that I've been
mechanism.
Yeah, now that I've been clean a little bit, I've got a little over a year clean. Some things come back to me here and there, and I'll be like, oh man, I forgot all about that, And I've noticed that writing really brings that out. Another thing is I work in my Celebrate Recovery workbooks. They help me. tremendously. That's the kind of work that I do. So yeah, there's a bunch of different things you can do with, and you know what? I don't care how late it is. I'll reach out if it gets too bad.
Mm-hmm.
I have awesome, my team is awesome, and I've got family, and it doesn't matter if it's 3 o'clock in the morning. There's somebody that will be there to wake
Group
up.
chat's always lit.
Yeah, always.
Days.
So, and, I'm really blessed that I have, because there's never a time, 24 hours a day, and I've got somebody that I could call, and that's the kind of support system that everybody needs to look for.
I mean, I can have the greatest support system in the world. I can have the best sponsor in the world. I can have the best higher power in the world, and I do. But at the end of the day, it's up to me to do that. It's up to me to reach out and say, "Hey, man, I'm struggling." I don't always do that. Dealing with thoughts by yourself. I'm telling you, for years, I wasn't capable of doing that. I was manic. I really believe I was. I mean, it was early sobriety, but I was doing the best I could, and I show my emotions. So even if I don't want to, I walk into a meeting. Everybody knows I'm pissed off. Everybody knows I'm happy. Everybody knows I'm sad.
You have no business playing poker.
So, for me going to the meetings, that's what always held me accountable. Because I couldn't hide it. Behind a phone, behind a computer, I can hide that I'm okay today. So if anybody's new out there or not new, there's times now where I don't handle everything I got to handle. I believe in this. Another thing a guy told me a long time ago: if I don't deal with my feelings are going to deal with me. And at the end of the day, we already know what's going to happen. So you don't have to sit alone. Now you can, but look it. I'll sit in my stuff, until that pain level's great enough in anything in my life that I do, and anything I do. When the pain's great enough, that's when I ask for help. Mm-hmm. You don't have to wait until the end, and I still tell myself that, but there's times I can't do it. So I don't think really early on recovery, man, I don't think anybody has to go through it by themselves, even if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, or they already called their sponsor 3 times today, or, that's why they're real big on, getting new numbers at meetings or whatever on a regular. I used to go with a guy who had 25 years at the time, and we would go to all different kind of meetings, and every time I would go, he would make me go and get new people's numbers, just in case, hey, I called 10 people and nobody answered, we'll call 10 more. So
I get a phone list every meeting I go to.
I mean, when I was new, they weren't generous like we are now. We'll start a list for people.
Mm-hmm.
When I was new,
that's what we do.
Now, when I was new, it didn't work like that. You were going to get up, you were going to get the list, and you were going to go and you were going to handwrite the phone numbers on this list or put them in your cell phone or whatever, and you were going to call them. You know what I mean? Because I don't want what you got. You know what I mean? And I gotta be sure that you want this. But I'll call new guys now. You know what I mean? I'm not like that, because I know how hard it is to call somebody. Because what do you talk about? I don't know you, but hey, Johnny, I'm supposed to talk to somebody about my feelings today. You know what I mean? It's real awkward. So, the writing thing, I can't write. I can't spell.
You
but
can't.
I'm trying. I'm horrible. First of all, I got chubby fingers on the keyboard. That's number one.
He always says that.
I'm telling you. Number 2, I got ADHD. I can't go back and read these things. But for real, when I do the little writings that I do, it does get me out of myself, and it does help me. But it's that consistent application, man. Do it consistently, and when I do that, I'm good. Like I said, when I don't, who's to blame? It's myself. So I wouldn't sit with your own feelings. 'Cause I'm telling you, man, your feelings are getting. My personal belief, whatever that matters, my feelings will get me drunk and high.
Oh, they will.
So.
Rex.
To go on the previous talking point, Sobriety is something that can be measured with scientific instrumentation. You can pee in a cup, you can take a blood sample, you can take a hair sample, fingernails, saliva swab. Man, it was that bomber just go over. Is that one of ours? A friendly. Sobriety is also a state of mind, and we can be one way, and we've been to meetings where we've seen people who are just drenched in steps and traditions, and they quote the world concepts.
They beat it into you.
And then you go out for a cigarette, you go out afterwards, you go out for a smoke, you go out for coffee afterwards, and it's like, who are you now?
Yeah.
But we go to meetings and we see how people operate, and we align ourselves with ones that are where we are and who are where we want to be, and we ask them how they got there. Yeah, that was the point I wanted to make with that. We try to do the best that we can with the examples that we have, and try to and be better than we were the day before.
Right.
With being into that new recovery can kind of be overwhelming. You're sitting maybe in a circle with people, and you go to a meeting and you hear these stories, and sometimes you're taken back a little bit, like, holy shit, like, wow. But then it's almost like you want to talk, but then you're kind of hesitant. How can people get over that feeling? You know what I'm saying? That emotion. That I want to say something, but I don't.
If I may, start small.
Yeah.
Start small. There's a few people come into After Dark and they talk about, I'm doing this on my own. I can't stand being in a meeting, or they don't know where to go. It's like, okay, well, or they've been to a meeting and somebody stepped on their soul, and they, to hell with this, and they leave. And say, well, you know what? Find a meeting in your area that you haven't been to yet, with the fellowship that you think you're going to jive with. Go there and stay in the meeting for as long as you feel you can stay.
Mm-hmm.
But then don't leave. Go outside, have a cigarette, and just hang out until the end of the meeting. And then the next time they have a meeting there, go back again and try to stay until a longer point along the meeting, and just keep trying. And it's the same way with, like, okay, so once you're in there and you have something that you want to share something, hey, I'm Steve, I'm an addict, I'm an alcoholic, and I also believe in showing respect for whatever fellowship you're in. If you're in AA, fuck it, you call yourself, hi, I'm Steve and I'm an omelet. It doesn't matter. You're there for a reason. And I say this a lot. If you go to AA and people say, oh, we're not supposed to talk about an addict, you're supposed to call yourself an alcoholic. We don't. Okay, so how long were you alcoholic to alcohol?
Yeah.
You're addicted. What do you want to say? Anyway, so not to get political, but just start out small. Hey, I'm Steve. I'm an alcoholic, and I had a real good day, and it's possible to have a good day today. And just leave it at that. Yeah. And then you just get the more deeply emotional stuff as you feel more confident.
So I agree with that, and I don't know, man. It's like I haven't been here as long as a lot. I can't call you Steve. I haven't been here as long as Rex, but
Daddy.
When I got sober, like I couldn't even talk. Like I mean, I was probably detoxed for almost 60 days, man, for real. And I would gibber a little bit, but they would tell me, hey, listen, man, come to the meeting 20 minutes before and stay 20 minutes after, right? So that's where I began to be able to talk, if you even call it that. But people would bring back to that being accountable. People would ask me how I'm doing. I would take coffee commitments, not by my choice, but and when you make coffee, you're there early. People talk to you. They're gonna come up to you and talk to you, and I think that's why service works. But eventually, I didn't have nothing really to talk about. I didn't know how to stay sober. So what the hell am I talking in a meeting for? Unless what I tell my guys and stuff, you can participate, talk about stuff don't talk about something you don't know about, because you're gonna get jammed up. If you're having a bad day, share about it. I wouldn't spill out all your information in a meeting, because I've done that, and what they say doesn't always stay here. That's why we have a network. That's why we have a sponsor. But I don't know, man. Like, now I share a lot. You know what I mean? But I've been through the steps. I've lived recovery. And it's my experience. I used to get pissy in meetings before I grew up a little bit, when I would hear people, they had 75 days clean, and they're telling me, they're sharing on something that my brain tells me that they shouldn't be sharing on. But again, that's where they're at. You know what I mean? Just, if you got something to share, man, share. And it's, I hear about people, they don't like meetings, or some guy pissed them off or whatever. Well, go to a different one. You know what I mean? Like, I used to go to a lot of places that I didn't like a lot of people, and a lot of people, I'm sure, didn't like me when I was drinking and using. So, like, that didn't stop me then, so why is it going to stop me now? And I'm sure I go places now that I don't like people, and I'm sure they don't like me. But my purpose is to get another day and help somebody out. So, if you got to speak, you got to speak, but just stick to what you know, man. And if you're new, unless you're like, I don't know, somebody I never met that's new, that knows a lot about recovery, man, like, you know what I mean? Like, it just kills me. One thing, it kills me at step meetings, and say you're on step 5, right? It's the topic, and people raise their hand and say, hey, my name's blah blah blah, and I'm not at step 5, but it's like, well, why are you sharing if you're not on step 5 yet? That's why there's a meeting before the meeting. But I don't know. That's just what I was taught, man. I don't know if that's right, politically correct or not, but I try and really, really not clench my fists anymore when I hear newer people speak about stuff. You know what I mean? Because I was there, and I'm sure at a time I was talking where, it wasn't really making too much sense. But by any means, man, if you're struggling with something, I don't even care if it's off topic. People get real, oh, you're off topic. Hey, man, if this guy is going to drink tonight and he wants to talk about his cat being hit by a car, let this man talk. I don't want to hear about acceptance. You know what I mean? Like, right now, that new guy's struggling, whatever he's struggling with, let him talk about it.
Rex has got to go.
I do have to go. I want to thank you very much. Thank you for
have a good night.
For inviting me. It's been awesome. I'm here whenever you want to bring me back to do this. But thank you so much, Stephanie. And
thanks, Rex.
I will see you
Rexy.
soon. Love you. Mwah, mwah. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Sarah.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of I have a little bit of a different opinion than Dan. I talked a lot when I first started going to meetings. A lot. Because I had a lot to say, and we know. Never met. But here's the thing. It's new, it's exciting, you're experiencing things, and you don't know who else could take away something from your story. If you feel the need, no matter where you're at in your recovery, like, you could be day 1 into your recovery, and there could be somebody in there that you used right before they walked in that door. Yeah. You don't know if what you say is going to impact them. You don't know if anything you say, like any of your struggle. Some people might be going through it with their kids, might be going through DCFS, might have just lost somebody. And if that's what you're experiencing, that could actually help somebody. If you feel right about sharing, then share. That's what the meetings are for. Some people continually just go off on a tangent, so learn how to limit it. Like you said, watch what you put out there and what you don't put out there. But don't think just because you're 1 day in, 30 days in, 60 days in, that you have nothing to offer, because you do. No matter who you are, if you're in recovery, you have something to offer. You could save somebody's life. You could help bring up somebody's day because they hear your story and they're like, hey, I'm not alone. And that's what this whole recovery thing is with all of us, is us realizing that we're not alone, that we do
Wow.
have people out there that are going through what we're going through.
And Sarah, and this is why I like doing these lives, really, because everybody on the team knows that I do my recovery a little bit different. I don't go to meetings,
Right.
And I never thought about it like that. That that maybe I'm doing what works for me right now, but what if that's a little selfish of me? What I have got an amazing story to tell. My testimony is outrageous, and it probably could help. I know that it could help somebody. What if I'm denying somebody that by not going to meetings?
But you had to take care of you first. Don't beat yourself.
I know.
You had to get over your fears with stuff too. So it's self-care number one.
Yeah, you're right. But I never thought about it like that, though. You know what I mean? Like I could help somebody there,
Right.
and I'm not there to do it. Wow. Yeah, that's definitely something to keep in consideration. But I really do. I think that it's important that everybody knows that for each person that's in recovery, there's a different way to recover. So that's millions and millions of ways, different ways. Like I said, I don't do meetings, and I tried meetings. I relapsed for 20 years, if that makes sense. And they never worked for me, because you find what you're looking for no matter where you go. And I always found the people that were still using, the people that were there because they had to be there, the people that were getting a paper sign and then going and getting high afterwards, and it never worked for me. So this time I kind of switched things up and I moved. My complete lifestyle change. I use my everyday life as my meetings, and that's real. But I've been thinking about starting to go. There's a Celebrate Recovery here in Branson. I think they do on Tuesday nights or something. It's fairly close to my house, but it scares me because of my past. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like things that triggers for me. If I see somebody that's high, I'm going to be triggered. And I would like to think that I'm strong enough, but what if I'm not? And like you said, it is selfish. I mean, but I got to be that way. It's taken me 20 years to get here, and I'm not. Scares me. You know what I mean?
Right. But you did good in the city. Remember, you're so proud of yourself for being out here.
Yeah, I did.
Trigger. So I mean, if you feel uncomfortable, you have the right to leave. And always remember that. Yeah,
I've really been thinking about going. Yes, Carpy's got to stand up.
No, just I'm just talking meetings wise. Like I said, there are tons of ways to recover. That's just my experience. But I do know that, what Sarah was talking about. I could still learn from somebody with 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. I was touching on the whole speaking at a meeting point of view.
Right.
But like Steph was just talking about, I'm sure you have an awesome message, and I'm sure, you can help out a lot of people. And, but you were talking about triggers, man. Look, there's triggers. I was a trigger for years myself.
Yeah.
So like, hopefully, and not just you, we come to somewhere in our recovery where, we're going to be okay. Like, we learned the fundamentals, whether, you're in a 12-step fellowship, we Celebrate Recovery, whatever it is, there's always going to be triggers out there. But we can't hide in the bubble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you go out to a restaurant, I can go to the same restaurant for 15 years. If I'm not spiritually fit, that 16th year I go there, that margarita might look good. You know what I mean? Like, that's a trigger. So, like, and that's why I like the program I go to. It doesn't matter what you are. It's a design of living. And if you were anything like I was, like, they gave me my mom gave it to me. The teachers gave it to me. They gave me that book, the instruction booklet. I just never opened it, or I lost it. I left it in my locker or something. You know what I mean? So, like, that's what I like about it, man. It's a design of living, and anybody can. I believe anybody, alcoholic, drug addict, overeaters, not any of that stuff. Anybody, if they apply some of these principles, I think their life can get better. But it's tough, man. Being new is tough, and I remember when I got a year, and I was like, good, man, I ain't new anymore. And this guy was like, hey, man, you're new. You're new until you get 2 years. I was like, whatever, bro, whatever. It's all good, man. Like, you ain't gonna get to year 2 until you get year 1. You know what I mean? So, it's just different now, man. Like guys and girls, they don't have, everything that's going on in the world, man. Like it ain't going out back from one more. Not everybody's making it back, and it's sad, but it's reality. But by all means, you got something to say, put your hand up and do it.
With the hardest, with having to change person, place, and people, you having to change, but you still have to work. So, I mean, not even going into the recovery, but there's stresses everywhere in life. It's a daily part of life to deal with that. How would this, you're new to this recovery and dealing with those pressures. How does someone even go about getting that support to get through the workday?
Be open about it.
Yeah.
I mean, be honest. I mean, you don't have to say, hey, I'm in recovery, but learn to advocate for yourself. Hey, I'm stressed out. Hey, I'm going, everybody represses their emotions and keeps them quiet. And it's not okay to be anything but happy, but really it is. We're going to get depressed, angry, sad, upset, the whole nine. Not repressing that and keeping people in the know with that is that was a major thing for me. Like I just got out of jail in January, and I'm still, like, when I came home, I didn't have anywhere to go. I ended up at my grandma's house, and she eventually let me stay. She still doesn't want me here, but it's a stress I deal with every day. But I I can't say the word. I break everything down into smaller pieces. I know I cannot save the world. I know I can barely save myself. So I have to take it moment by moment, piece by piece. And when I start feeling overwhelmed, break it down even smaller, so that I don't get overwhelmed, so I don't get manic, so I don't freak out and go use, because that's what I'm so used to. Whenever somebody's on my head about something like chores around the house or the kids or something, my first instinct was to go get high because I couldn't deal with it. So now it's like I have to separate myself and be like, okay, what can I change? What little thing can I change to make this that much easier? And then it just builds from there. It's baby steps. Anybody ever see What About Bob? It's baby steps. That's all there is to it. So, great movie, by the way.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I have to watch it. And it really is learning how to live life on life's terms. When I for the 20 years that I was in active addiction, when I would go to meetings and I would hear all these phrases, people, places, and things, life on life's terms. I'm like, these people are just feeding us, trying to brainwash us. But in reality, now that I'm actually, doing what I need to do, the next right thing and all that, there is so much truth to each saying. It is life on life's terms. And life was never picking on me. I was in my own way. And once I learned how to step out of my way and just let life happen and deal with it, things started getting a lot better and things started falling into place. And and it's like each day that went by and each thing that, I got somewhere to stay. I got food to eat all the time now. If I want to smoke, I smoke. It's little things like that it's like, holy cow, I think I've really made it, And that's really the key for me is learning how to live life on life's terms and being grateful through it all. Like I said before, it's good and bad.
I missed the first part of the question. It cut out on my end. What was the question?
How do you deal with work-life stresses?
Oh man. So everything was so fast for me, everything was so fast. I mean, it slowed down over the years, but I mean, in the beginning, it was very fast paced. I don't know. I just didn't pick up a drink and drug. Really, I said the Serenity Prayer a lot. I was always doing something. There was no downtime for Dan. No downtime for Dan because that was bad. If I wasn't doing something, and it's not like that I had to do, I was just afraid. I was afraid I was going to drink and use. So I was always, if I was working 12 hours and I was at a meeting for 2 and then this, that, the gym, sleep, whatever, I was always doing something. I don't know, man. I just went with it. Now I have more stressors and more stuff going on now. And, like I said earlier, bring it back to the beginning. But, prayer and meditation, man, listen. Yeah. Like, I'm not a religious guy. You know, I struggle with spirituality, but I know the meditation I do isn't long. You know, we ain't sitting down for 15, 20 minutes. Ain't happening. You know, that's just not what I can do. I'll give you a solid 3 to 5. But when I do that, and when I, you know, keep that conscious contact with a higher power, he usually takes care of me. You know,
Yep.
But I got to move my feet a little bit. You know, and
Mhm.
I catch myself like, you know, I forget really, you know, I'm not really praying too much today, or I'm asking
Used to
too much,
you.
or I'm not moving my feet. So, you know, the stressor, everybody got stress, everybody got it going on. I guess I could say, man, like, you know, you don't got to do it alone. You know, you don't got to do. Why are you laughing?
I'm not laughing at you.
I'm trying.
It's not you.
What?
It's eyes.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I was just laughing at him too.
Jesus.
You gotta wrap it up, is what he's saying.
Well,
He's mad.
All right. That's what I said.
I wasn't trying to cut you off, I
with
swear.
us, it's
I realized what time it
amazing,
was. My bad.
right? And for everyone out there, After Dark is actually on right now. So
Everyone
Yep.
got
to
wrapped
see
up.
Rex and have a conversation with him. He's an amazing person, and you don't even have to
Call.
talk if you don't want to. You could just listen in, or you can type whatever you want in chat. They're amazingly supportive. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next Friday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.